Created borderline, let's talk about it. Today's question comes from Madison in West Virginia, and her question is, what does an BPD episode look like, and do you always know that one's coming on? Well, firstly, I must state that this is my experience and my experience only. I cannot speak and talk for every single person that has BPD. Secondly, I just want to say that I think all episodes are different because we all experience the BPD differently. Even if you're in the same subcategory of borderline personality disorder, you're still going to experience it a little bit differently, if not drastically. My episodes are typically, no, I don't know that they're going to come, but since I became self-aware to more of my triggers, I want to say, like, okay, so before, if I had an abandonment issue, or I felt like if I was in a relationship, friend or, romantic, I would do something drastic and stupid to basically just make sure that either they weren't going to leave me, or they have a reason not to, or and like, when I say this, like, I having time to reflect on my behaviors and the things that I did to avoid rejection and abandonment, little stupid, trivial, dumb things. Like, I'm embarrassed and ashamed of them, of course, but I'm more ashamed of the little things than I am the big things, because I understand the big things better, I guess, because they were drastic measures of cries for help, and apparently I decoded them entirely way too well. But that's not true, and I'm gonna say this because of my feelings on the situation and the matter. But sorry, I got distracted by the traffic and the guy on the lawnmower just staring at me. But I've done some pretty small, trivial, stupid, idiotic, dumb, childish, dumb things. Because of abandonment and rejection. And like I said, looking back and knowing now, looking back at it now.
New text message from Paris.
I am ashamed and I'm embarrassed by it. I feel stupid almost. So that I consider an episode, because I literally will go out of my way to drastic measures and fall apart. Shoot. And it's like I'm not even, it's like I wasn't even, no, I'm not, I don't want to say this without taking responsibility, because no matter what happened to me and what made me the way that I was, I still did it. They were still my actions. It's not like, somebody else was controlling me, or you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't a robot. So I haven't quite found the words that I want to use yet. So bear with me, but I did make that known. That is very important for me. I don't want to give ownership of my achievements or my failures at life to anyone, because they are my own. And there's not very many things out there in this world that you can literally say are your own. And you might be thinking, she's stupid. I mean, who cares if I don't want to own my failures. But one day you will. One day you will open your eyes and you will take a deep breath and you will say, I am me. You might not know who in the hell you are, but you will know, one day you will know that you are just you. And you're not somebody else. You're not 50 other people. You're not trying to be 50 other people. You're not trying to fit in. You're not trying to be a part of a group or a clique or, trying to be the person you're running away from or the person you don't want to like, trying to be someone completely opposite from the person that you don't want to be like most. You're just simply you. And when you get to that point, that is the day that you will accept your failures as your own, and you'll stop blaming your actions on other people. Now, I am still, and I don't know if I'll ever move past this point, and I'm just being honest and real. I'm not going to give anybody false hope. Do I still blame people for the way my life turned out? Absolutely. My actions are mine, and what I have done are mine, and mine to keep. Circle talking. But I think that if my mom would have been a better mother, would my situation be different? Yes. Do I still think that if my father would have took us kids, would we have turned out differently? Absolutely. Do I think that my brother would have had a fighting chance in hell? Yes, I do. There's a list that goes on of things that could have been different if it would have been for better parents. So yes, that has not gone away. My bitterness, I don't know. I mean, it's not as bad as it was, and especially after I first was diagnosed. Then I unraveled everything. Well, not everything, because I'm still unraveling stuff. But that first month and a half, and I've talked about this before, after my diagnosis, the first day and week after my diagnosis, I felt relief. I felt, oh my gosh, I felt something made sense to me, and I oh yeah, that's me, and uncovering it, which this was my therapist's choice. I mean, how my therapist broke it down for me is I was given a list of different things to take home with me, and I think I might have talked about this one time before, but I got a list of things to take home with me to open up, study, and read about, and it was an assignment, and it took me a little while to actually do it, and then, the whole list was like depression, anxiety, all these things that give you, I had to look it up, examples, and what the definitions and the actual meanings were, and so on and so forth, and the very, very last one was the borderline personality disorder, and I'm like, done rolling my eyes at all this other shit I'm reading, excuse my language, but, I am just like, how I had been so many times before when I've been diagnosed with depression, and knowing that I was more than depressed, or knowing that I was more than this, emptiness or anxiety, that, I do have anxiety. But even my anxiety did not get bad until later on in life, I don't think. Now, I can't be 100% for sure, but this is my opinion. But the feeling of uselessness and worthlessness and so on and so forth, those were the real issues I had. And I finally, like, I was about to throw this list away and just be like done with it, but I just had one left, and so I was like, whatever. So I read it, and like that was it. And then when I went back to see my therapist the next time, I was like, I don't know, but I feel like this is something. This has got to be something, because this is everything I've ever done. I've self-sabotaged my whole life. I will wreck my life to end a relationship just because I don't want to upset them or hurt them, or because they're no good for me and I don't know what to do. I said, I run away from everything. If I can't handle it or I don't know how to fix it, I run away from it. You know, and I was just throwing this stuff out there to her. I said, I've self-harmed since I was fucking 9. Excuse my language again. But, you know, this is how intense it was. I was, like, just screaming, word vomiting everywhere, telling her, like, you don't understand. And she understood. But the person that didn't understand was myself. How could I have gone all these years with some personality disorder that is so traumatic, so severe, so like the worst personality disorder you can have, you know, like, and I'm reading all these articles about how therapists will drop you and they don't want to, you know, so on and so forth, and thinking, you know, my first question to her was, are you still going to be my therapist, or do I have to go find somebody else? And, you know, instantly she, like, looked at me and she, like, I think she had to take a second look just to make sure I was serious. Because if you look up borderline personality disorder, the first things that you're going to find is how it's stigmatized, and how therapists, still to this day, there's therapists that will turn you away or refer you to somebody else because they don't want to deal with you. Well, that's all I can think about is she's, you know, she was the first therapist in my 32 years of living that I have had even an inkling amount of respect for her. Most of the therapists I've ever had, they dressed in their hoity-toity clothes and always made me feel like they were better than me, or more significant than I was, and I already feel that way. Like, I don't need to feel worse about myself than I already do. So opening up to a therapist, especially the way I did my recent one, has never happened. Even when I've been hospitalized, I bullshit my way through it. I pretended I was fine and I moved on with my life. Which that's great. I'll save my information for my next episode that I feel about psychiatric hospitals, and I'll just make that at my own episode. So instead of having a Q&A, well, my views on psychiatric hospitals. So I would just bullshit my way through it and be done until I met Stacy. Stacy is my therapist, one of them, and she is very easy to talk to. She wears blue jeans, and I can relate to her on a level. Y'all just gonna have to bear with me. I'm at the bank. Good, how are you? He just, I think there's a deposit slip in there. If there's not, I'll tell you, but I think there is. And he just wants, just mail him a receipt.
Okay.
But I think there's one in there.
Yes, ma'am. There's one in here.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Have one of the day.
You too. Oh, sorry, guys. Maybe I'll cut that out. Maybe I won't. Who knows? But, yeah, we're gonna split this up in 2 videos today.